So Lucinda is holding her gin.
It's the way I like to be. It's the way I roll. Not just gin in a cocktail glass.
How many glasses have you had, Lucinda?
I think this is only my second. How many have you had, Bev?
I'm on my third.
She can hold her gin, everyone. She can hold it. It's all good.
So, we are now at Lucinda's house, post Norwich Arts Centre,
Yep. Playing on the home turf.
playing home ground.
Yeah. How are you feeling?
After 3 gins, absolutely fine.
It's amazing after 3 gins. Like, that's the best time to be.
Yeah, after 3 gins, absolutely fine.
And how did you feel straight after the performance?
I feel like I'm really boring because I feel like I say the same thing every time because I love it so much. I love doing it so much that I finish the show and I just feel like I want to hug every single member of the audience and do the show again.
I hope there's somebody that's watched your show who is now listening to that and be like, oh, they've wanted to give me a hug. And that's a really nice thing.
Because
really
I just want to hug everybody in the audience and then do the show again.
We should do a day of like more than one show.
What, matinee and evening? I'd do that.
Yeah, I think it would be really interesting because I think you get into such, because we have these gaps, don't we? So it's 2 weeks since we did the last one, and it's going to be a little while before we do the next one.
Yeah.
And actually, you just get it like, oh right, yeah, we're good, and then that's it until the next one. And I think it could be really, really nice to do it twice in a day.
Yeah, I'd love to have a proper run.
Yeah, like just like a few days in a venue where you can like do that first show, take some notes, bed in, and then really tweak and refine so it's like spot on perfect.
Yeah, I'd love to have a proper run, be in the same venue for, for a few days or even a few weeks and, get the momentum going. But then I think that would potentially get an audience build that people would hear about it and come and see it. Because I do think that the Q&A afterwards, I get an awful lot out of it. I hope the audience do as well. But I just love that, like the questions that people ask, and that feels like a real two-way thing, that we're all in this together and we're asking questions, answering questions. And it's made me see the show differently in some cases as well.
Ooh, what? Can you explain that a bit more?
Well, when you write a show, you've got in your head, all I have in my head, what it's about and what it is that I'm wanting to express. And also, in this show, there are deliberately bits that are quite ambiguous, so people can make up their own mind about things.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is people do make up their own mind about the content and what I mean by the content. And some people say what it means to them, which isn't necessarily what it means to me, but that doesn't actually matter. Because what's really important is what people in the audience get from the show. And I was really struck at the Colchester performance when we had that conversation about magic and what is magic and what's your magic, what's my magic, and then we started talking about the magic tricks, if you like, itself.
But that's like so much a part of your ethos, isn't it? About what you're trying to do, that it's about every individual finding their magic and their and your development as well. And one of the things that I found really fascinating is our conversations in the car sometimes, which we haven't had this time because the car journey was 10 minutes. But some of those conversations about what where you'd like to see that develop, and what that means for other people as well, and other people finding magic, and what that can look like. And I think that's so valuable and important. And that I'm going to just prompt you to maybe talk about one of the questions that we had today in the Q&A. That I for those that don't know, Bev asks me after every show, what was my magic? Where did I find my magic? Which I find it's really nice that she values my magic as much as her own, which is really nice. Sorry for the repetition. And one of the things that I found very powerful tonight was there was a question about what gives you the drive to keep going. And the answer came out of your mouth before the lady had completely finished the question, and it was Jess's name, straight there with a ferocity. And I just wondered if you could share a little bit about that, because we talked about that a bit this evening.
Yeah, I really startle myself, actually. Really startle myself, because I wasn't expecting the way I reacted at all. The question was, I think, linked to, the reason for doing this show, and I remember as quick as a flash, I said, it's for my son, Jess Benjamin Fairweather, and I want everyone to know his name, Jess Benjamin Fairweather, and I will travel up and down this country performing this show, because I don't want him to be forgotten. But I remember my response was as quick as a flash.
It was ferocious,
and
too.
it was quite ferocious. I felt like, I don't know whether it was bear-like or tiger-like, but it was at a really, really deep, when it comes to like basic instinct, that I am a mother, this is my son, and I don't want anyone ever to forget my son, and I want the world to know his name. And it was quite primal, if you like. And that makes me think about moments when the boys were growing up, when something might happen, and then I'd kind of investigate further, shall we say. If people had upset my boys, I would go and find out what was going on.
People will hear this on an audio. Her eyes are getting very, very wide at this point, in a very ferocious manner.
But I think that's part of being a mum. It's a basic instinct to protect your young. And Jess Benjamin Fairweather is my boy, and I want the whole world to know his name, and that will keep me going.
I think if anybody is listening to this and they think, well, this isn't something that affects me directly, this topic. When I first saw this show on Zoom about a year ago, it must be about a year ago, isn't it? And I remember just being so struck, because that was very, very clearly a part of what was going on, like that remembrance, that act of celebration of that person. And as somebody who lost a very close family member very, very early on, in not the similar circumstances at all in any way, that resonated. It just reached into my heart and made me go, I'm not alone. And I think that for anybody who has ever lost somebody that is going through or has gone through that journey, this is why the work that Bev does is so just glorious, because it touches you in that way. It is universal and it is beautiful.
Thank you.
No, that's when you asked me to be a part of this, it's one of it checked my box for why do I want to do this? Because that's really important to me, the why of why I'm doing anything. And that was a huge thing, where I was like, actually that's the most important thing to me about that person in my life, and if I can support somebody to do that for somebody in their life, that's that's why I said I'd get involved.
Thank you.
It's cool. It's good.
Grief is really lonely. And I think if there's something in that show that somebody in the audience can link to and help them to think, oh, it's not just me that thinks that or feels that, then it might help them feel a bit less alone, because it is really lonely. It's a horrible, lonely place to be. And in I don't know what you think about this, but I feel, having experienced lots of different cultures around the world, like I think we're particularly insular about it as well, and we don't talk about death and grief and those journeys that we go on in a way that a lot of other cultures do, and that amplifies for me the loneliness. But we are what we are, and I think it's good when we can connect in a way that feels familiar. We don't have to adopt other people's customs or other people's processes. There is something really beautiful about finding something that resonates from home. And I did something before I went on stage tonight, and I hadn't done it before, and it felt really lovely. And I actually spoke it as well, that just before I went on, and what I said was, "Come on, it's you and me, sunshine. Come on." And with and then with that, I walked onto the stage, and that was just a really lovely moment. Like, come on, it's you and me, sunshine.
Yeah.
It's you and me.
Oh, that's so interesting, because actually your first line tonight was imbued with a lot more vim than sometimes it is. Like sometimes you're quite nice, very British about it. But yeah, no, there was a bit of vim there. That's nice. That's nice to know.
And I think it was like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that gave me a particular kind of energy.
No, that's really beautiful. Yeah. Really nice. Is there anything else that you wanted to highlight, say, be grateful for before we kind of sign off for tonight?
It was just a beautiful evening. All the performances have been beautiful in different ways. And I'm just really looking forward to us finding even more magic.
Lovely.
And hearing about other people's magic too.
That's a huge part of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's that sharing. It's not a one-way street.
Yeah.
No, that's lovely. Thank you for sharing your magic with me, Bev.
You're more than welcome, Lucinda.
Cheers.
Cheers.